So the exodus begins. After less than 3 months in power, Sir Keir Starmer has lost one of his most promising rising female stars, Rosie Duffield, Labour MP for Canterbury. Now, Rosie first really came to prominence when she stuck up for women's rights by simply agreeing to the notion that only women have a cervix, which is obviously true because a cervix is the neck of a womb, and unless I've missed something, men don't have wombs. How quickly we forget the lunacy that possessed the party when it came to defining a woman.
A woman can have a penis.
Nick, I'm not... I don't think we can conduct this debate with, you know...
Sorry, have I offended you in some way?
No, it's just... I just...
A woman can have a penis.
I don't think that discussing this issue in this way helps anyone in the long run.
It's laughable. Rosie was also frightened back then to go to her own party conference for fear of repercussions. And on resigning her position, she accused Sir Keir Starmer of presiding over sleaze, nepotism and apparent avarice, and that is off the scale. And that she was ashamed of what he and his inner circle had done to tarnish and humiliate our once proud party. Very powerful words. In fact, words, some of which, in particular sleaze, were attributed to the Conservative Party. She uses the word avarice, a word I think I last heard in the Bible. It means extreme greed for wealth and material gain. The cash for clothes Lord Allygate scandal is an absolute example of that. Yesterday, another £16,000 was undressed as being wrongly assigned as money for his private office. If it's all above board, why disguise it? The only reason I can think of would be because the person declaring it knew it would look bad if they were honest about it. She refers to nepotism, so helping close family and friends, and inner circle, she calls it, a bit like contracts going to people with close links to the Tories during the pandemic. There's a cigarette paper between the behaviours of both of our main political parties, and it's hilarious listening to the likes of James O'Brien trying to excuse it.
Does your ability to pay your gas bill, how is it in any way affected by the price of the suit that Keir Starmer is wearing? Wahid Ali is a Labour peer giving money to his own party, giving money to members of his own party, people, I don't know, perhaps he even describes as friends. So what is it that I am supposed to be cross about? And then the other voice kicks in and goes, no, you must be missing something. And you begin to, well, am I being tribal? Am I being all the things that I accuse other people of being? And you can answer that question quite easily. Have they broken any rules? No. Have they broken any laws? No. Have they unlawfully prorogued Parliament? No. Have they lied to the House of Commons and been found to have done so by a committee of their own peers?
Yeah, well, maybe not, but things are unravelling as we speak, and I suspect that there is way more to come. And for all of those, in particular journalists and broadcasters who have tried to trivialise this story, but were hot on the heels of Boris Johnson and Partygate, this, in my view, is just the tip of the iceberg. In her resignation letter, Rosie stated, someone with far above average wealth choosing to keep the Conservatives' two-child limit to benefit payments, which entrenches children in poverty, whilst inexplicably accepting expensive personal gifts of designer suits and glasses, costing more than most of these people can grasp. This is entirely undeserving of holding the title of Labour Prime Minister. Rosie went on to say, forcing a vote to make many older people iller and colder, whilst you and your favourite colleagues enjoy free family trips to events most people would have to save hard for, why are you not showing even the slightest bit of embarrassment? Rosie declared that Keir is unfit for office, inexplicably choosing to accept designer suits, whilst at the same time pursuing cruel and unnecessary policies. Watch this space, because there's more to come. Before we get stuck into the debates, here is what else is coming up today. For the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, was Rosie Duffield right to quit Labour? The MP for Canterbury quit her party yesterday, saying the sleaze, nepotism and apparent avarice are all off the scale, and called the ongoing donations row cruel and unnecessary. And also for the second Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, was Rosie Duffield right to quit Labour? Then at 3:40, we'll be crossing live to the United States and get the latest from around the world from Paul Duddridge in World View. All of that on the way. Plus, at 5, I have a fabulous guest coming in, Andrew Eborn, The Interview. You will not want to miss that. That's coming up in the next hour. As ever, send me your thoughts, post your comments, gbnews.com/your say. Well, joining me now, author and journalist Rebecca Reid. Rebecca, thank you very much for joining me. So Rosie Duffield has quit the Labour Party. In your view, did that feel like the right move for her?
I think it probably is the right move for her personally, because I don't think she's felt sort of at ease or particularly welcome in the party since her feelings around trans issues were made clear. And I don't think that sort of personal liaisons have been very good. And I imagine that from a sort of day-to-day basis, if you don't feel welcomed or supported by your colleagues, then it probably isn't the right job for you. I think her timing is interesting. And I think her methodology is perhaps a little uncomfortable. It's not what I would personally have done. But yes, I think ultimately it's probably best for her.
Surely you would support the things that she was supporting in terms of women's rights.
I mean, my personal opinion on trans rights is not relevant because I'm not an MP. I think her difficulty is that she believes things about trans people, about trans people, which are very common in the UK, though not majority necessarily, but not common in the Labour Party. And it's a really thorny issue. You know, it is a complicated one. It does really divide people. And I think she's out of step with other people she's working with. And I think it seems like she's been made to feel quite uncomfortable at work, which nobody should be made to feel.
So where do you stand then on cash for clothes? These Labour Party receiving multiple donations of money to buy clothing, which some of them seem, well, it seems like a lot of money for clothes.
I don't have an issue with it. I mean, David Cameron and Samantha Cameron had similar setup, and I didn't have an issue with it with them either. I think what you wear for work is probably, I'm wearing a cardigan right now, but if you're trying to look smart and appropriate, I think it's a perfectly reasonable cost. I think anything that wasn't correctly and appropriately described, that's a mistake. It's a comms mistake. It makes you look bad, but I don't think it's morally an issue. I think Rosie Duffield, I think to suggest that it's this that she's gone over is perhaps untrue. I think she would always have gone. I think she probably stayed for the election because she wanted to win it as a Labour candidate. And then I think she was on the runway. And this felt like the appropriate moment. It reminded me a bit of when Piers Morgan left Good Morning Britain over Meghan Markle. And it felt like he was really ground down by that job and he was waiting for something to hang it on. And I think that's what she's done as well. I mean, Rosie Duffield accepted £12,000 of donations towards her campaign, all correctly and appropriately declared on the Register of Interest. But she's clearly not morally opposed to donations. I'm not sure how bothered that she really is about that. I think this is about the trans issues.
But £150,000 or £100,000 that we know of with Keir Starmer, that is a lot of money to be. I mean, it's the highest amount that any of the other MPs have taken in the form of, in the form of gifts and so on and so forth. That is a lot, right? Surely.
I mean, that's from 2019 through 2024, and he was running a leadership bid. So, and also he has been very honest. And I think in places, the reporting of how this has been, I think media literacy is very bad around this, right? So the headline that you see is Keir Starmer takes £20,000 donation, and he didn't get given £20,000 of cash. He stayed at somebody's flat and they have to put a cost on it, which is an assessment. Now, actually, realistically, if you were renting out the flat he stayed at, it probably would have cost more than £20,000, but he wasn't given goods or services costing £20,000, and he certainly didn't get 20 grand in his bank account. And I think people are really losing track of this as if it's another expensive scandal. Now, apart from misdeclaring some of the clothes, all of this is completely legal and above board. And if you think the system is broken, then absolutely let's talk about reform. But they haven't done anything illegal. They haven't done anything that would get you that you need to resign over. It's actually much less of an issue than it's being reported as. And that is also true of when Boris Johnson did it, when it was correctly, appropriately. Whenever he declared something correctly and appropriately, he was perfectly within his rights to do it. David Cameron also got lots and lots of donations. He declared them. It was not illegal. It was appropriate at the time.
Well, I was just going to say, well, the last donation, £16,000 worth, I mean, that was in 2023 and 2024, the 10,000 and 6,000 respectively. That was quite a bit. I say that's a lot for clothes in that short space of time. But you pointed out the flat, so we'll come to that briefly because I know I have to go to the Tory party conference very quickly. But where do you stand with the flat where he was broadcasting from, where he clearly put pictures up to try and make it look like it was his own place?
I think that's fairly normal. I mean, whenever the royals do a sort of broadcast, they will put sort of family photos around that are oriented. And I've known videographers who work on that project. And it's the same whenever you make any kind of broadcast, you do shape the background because you're trying to send a message of I'm a family man, I'm a good person. So I don't think it was anywhere near as malicious as people want to present it as. I think it was marketing and it was about branding. But I don't think there was ever any desire to sort of lie to the public. I think it's like when podcasters or vloggers use a studio that's got a sort of fake home background. It's to try and make you feel like they're relatable, which obviously he's not. He's incredibly rich.
I think that depends what the message is. I mean, if you're telling other people to stay at home, then you're not even broadcasting from your home and you make the place look like your home. A lot of people would probably disagree with you on that one. But Rebecca Reid, thank you very much for your thoughts. That's Rebecca Reid. She is a broadcaster and journalist.